Hello and welcome to Obla Air, a Learn English radio series from the British Council. I'm Joan Walker.
And I'm David Evans.
And in this series, we aim to improve your English language skills with the help of our drama story about the staff and passengers of a budget airline.
In today's programme, we're going to hear the 5th episode of the story. And we'll also look back at some of the events in the story so far.
But first, let's hear what happened at the end of the last programme.
He's not the only unhappy one in Freeport this afternoon.
Oh, what do you mean?
I just saw your captain in town walking along like he had the weight of the whole world on his shoulders. Hey, Captain, I shout to him, cheer up. Life is too short for long faces. Take a ride in my cab. No thanks, he says. I haven't got money to waste on cab rides with you. Right now, I need every penny I can get.
Oh dear, that does not sound like good news.
Kenji, the taxi driver, was telling Betsy, Obla's office manager, that he has just seen Captain Obla in town. And how did he look?
He was walking along like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, like he was feeling unhappy and depressed.
And why was that?
Because he needs money.
Yes, the captain needs to find some money to pay his fuel bill for the flight to London this week, or the plane won't be able to fly. But after an unsuccessful meeting with his bank manager, he needs some new ideas. And in the next scene, we'll hear about one way in which the captain is trying to get the extra money. And as you listen, answer these questions.
What is the captain's new way of raising money? And what does Betsy think of it? I'll give you those questions again. What is the captain's new way of raising money? And what does Betsy think of it?
Let's find out. The scene starts with the office manager, Betsy, and her colleague, Pavi, in the Obla Air office.
Oh, not again.
I'll answer it. Hello, Obla Air. No, I'm sorry. This week's flight is fully booked.
Well, we're both men of the world, aren't we, Captain? I knew you'd see sense.
Absolutely right, Mr. Chambers. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Is everything all right?
I don't know, Captain. You tell us. Perhaps you could start by explaining why Mr. Chambers is back in the office so soon.
Because Mr. Chambers has come to collect his ticket for Friday. His business class ticket for Friday. Isn't that right, Captain?
Mr. Chambers, I thought I explained to you.
It's all right, Betsy. Mr. Chambers and I have come to a little arrangement. We met in town, you see, and had lunch together.
Yeah, a very nice lunch.
Yes, I am sure.
And, well, anyway, I've agreed that we'll provide him with a special service on our flight to London on Friday. A reserved seat, a nice meal, something to drink. And, of course, he'll pay us a special price.
Yeah, in cash.
So, Pavi, could you just print the ticket for him? Seat 1A, I think. It is a window seat you'd like, isn't it, Mr. Chambers?
That's right, Captain. I always have a window seat. I love the view.
Just one moment, Pavi. Captain, I think you and I need to have a little chat.
Can it wait?
Outside. Now.
So, what's the captain's new way of raising money?
He's sold a business class ticket to Vinnie Chambers.
He sold a business class ticket to Vinnie Chambers, although, as we know, Obla Air doesn't normally sell business class tickets. But Vinnie Chambers can pay cash, and the captain really needs the money. But what does Betsy think of that?
She's not happy. She says to the captain, I think you and I need to have a little chat. Outside, now.
And as we've learnt in the series so far, Betsy is not someone that you argue with, not even if you're Captain Obla. listening to Obla Air, a Learn English radio series brought to you by the British Council. So, next, we're going to listen to the chat, the conversation, between Betsy and the captain. The captain says to her,
Vinnie Chambers is a very important man.
And how does Betsy reply to that? Betsy then says to the captain,
The flight's full. Surely you've sold enough tickets to pay for the fuel.
And what is the captain's answer to that? And finally, what does Betsy tell the captain to do at the end of the scene?
Let me give you those questions again. How does Betsy reply when the captain tells her that Vinnie is a very important man? Has the captain sold enough tickets to pay for the fuel? And what does Betsy tell the captain to do at the end of the scene?
Captain, the plane is full. What do you think you are doing? We can't sell a seat to Vinnie Chambers when we've already sold it to somebody else.
Betsy, you don't understand. Vinnie Chambers is a very important man.
Every one of our passengers is important, Captain. They've all got work to return to, friends to visit, family to see, weddings to attend. And what's more, they've already bought their tickets. You can't just kick one of these people off the flight.
But listen, Betsy, Mr. Chambers will pay good money, and that's what we need. The bank won't lend me anymore, and if I don't get the cash to pay for the fuel, nobody will fly to London on Friday.
But the flight's full, Captain. Surely you've sold enough tickets to pay for the fuel.
Now, that's the problem. How many of these people paid cash for their tickets?
Well, some, but not many, I suppose. It was mostly credit card. That's the way these tourists pay nowadays.
Exactly. And I don't get the money from those credit cards until next month. I need cash for the fuel tomorrow or the plane doesn't leave the ground.
But surely the cash from Vinnie Chambers is not enough to pay your debt to the fuel company.
Well, no, that's true, but it helps.
Right, Captain. You forget about Vinnie Chambers and you concentrate on getting that money. All of it, not some of it. Here is what we do. Pavi and I will phone all the passengers who have bought their tickets and ask if they'll pay in cash instead of by credit card. You go back to the bank and ask for that money again.
But she said there
I
was
don't care what she said. You go back and ask again. But first of all, you go into that office and you tell Vinnie Chambers there is no business class on Obla Air and he's still on the waiting list.
So when the captain tells Betsy that Vinnie Chambers is a very important man, how does Betsy reply?
She says, Every one of our passengers is important, Captain.
Yes, she points out that they've all got work to return to, friends to visit, family to see, and so on. And when Betsy says to the captain that as the plane is full, he must surely have enough money to pay the fuel company, how does the captain reply? He says,
I don't get the money from those credit cards until next month, but I need cash for the fuel tomorrow, or the plane doesn't leave the ground.
His point is that there will be a delay before he gets the money from the credit card companies, and he needs the money right now. Finally, what does Betsy tell the captain to do at the end of the scene? She says,
You go back into that office and you tell Vinnie Chambers there's no business class on Obla Air and he is on the waiting list.
Betsy believes that they don't need Vinnie's money because she and Pavi will phone passengers who paid by credit card and ask them to pay cash instead. Meanwhile, she tells the captain to go back to the bank and ask again for a loan. So, will Betsy's plan work? We'll find out next time.
This is Obla Air, a Learn English radio series brought to you by the British Council.
Now let's remind you of some of the key moments in our Obla Air story so far.
In the first programme, we were introduced to Vinnie Chambers, who walked out of the Obla Air office when he found he couldn't buy a business class ticket to London.
Excuse me, what kind of airline is this? You've got no business class seats, your captain's got no money in his pocket, and your office is not much better than a shed. Do you know what? I think I'll take my business elsewhere.
But Vinnie didn't have much luck taking his business elsewhere, because an airline strike meant that Obla Air was the only airline flying to London that week. This is how Betsy broke that news to the captain.
But Captain, don't you know? There is an airline strike in London.
I'm sorry?
There is an airline strike in London. Obla Air is the only airline flying out of Freeport this week.
You're joking.
I'm absolutely serious. When we open those doors tomorrow morning, there are going to be queues of people trying to get on our flight. We can sell every seat on the plane, no problem. This is our big chance, Captain.
The next day, the Obla Air office was full of people desperate to get a ticket for the flight, including Vinnie Chambers. This is what happened when he tried to push to the front of the queue.
You can't push to the front of the queue like that. You wait in line like everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely right. You get to the back.
Absolutely. Oh, come on, I'm here now. You might as well sell me a ticket. There's only one of me after all. One ticket to London. Business class.
How many times do I have to tell you? There is no business class on Obla Air. Now, get to the back of the queue.
What?
Get to the back of the queue. Now.
It seemed like everything was going well for Obla Air, but the captain still had problems, as he explained to his bank manager, Mrs. Kashuri.
And the thing is, well, in order to fly on Friday, I need to pay my fuel bill, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to borrow just a little more money. Not much, not for long, just a bit, for about a week. That'll be okay, won't it?
Oh, Captain, if it was my decision, I'd lend you the money right now. But times have changed.
And the captain wasn't the only one with problems, because when Vinnie finally managed to get to the front of the ticket queue in the Obla Air office, this is what happened.
There are no business class seats on Obla Air.
In fact, there are no seats at all on Friday.
What?
Are you sure?
That's what the computer says. Look, that lady bought the last seat.
This can't be right.
Let me see. Oh, yes. Sorry, Mr. Chambers. The flight's fully booked, I'm afraid.
Although, as we heard today, that didn't stop Vinnie, who went off and made a little arrangement with Captain Obla himself. And as we all know, Betsy was not at all happy about it.
Captain, the plane is full. What do you think you are doing? We can't sell a seat to Vinnie Chambers when we've already sold it to somebody else.
Betsy.
So, will Vinnie Chambers manage to get a seat on that plane to London? And will Captain Obla raise the money to make sure the plane manages to fly? We'll find out more next time.
But that's all for today. You've been listening to Obla Air, a Learn English radio series brought to you by the British Council. Until next time, from David Evans and me, Joan Walker, goodbye.